with some basic standard slides to show everybody what's going on with your webinar console who've joined us, and hopefully everybody has joined us before. But in case you haven't,
and if you've been stuck in a cave for the last 10 years and don't know how to do a webinar, we're going to show you. So basically, if you want to move that console out of the way, you can hit the orange and white arrow and see all of what Warren is presenting. If everybody could hit the raise your hand button and just let us know that you can hear us, that's always good. We know Mike can, but the hands are going up.
The hands are going up. It looks like everybody for the most part can hear us. And if you can't hear us, then you don't know to raise your hand anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
That's right. You have to either be on the right system. Either if you're on the telephone, you have to hit the telephone radio dial button there, and if you're on mic and speakers, you have to hit that one.
Now, we've got everybody muted today, so you won't be able to holler in your questions, and we won't get any feedback or anything else like that. But if you do want to ask a question,
please type it into the question box, and we will try to get it answered as close to in context as we possibly can.
Unless the question isn't in context, in which case you might get luck.
Right. Now, Warren, we know that in the AutoCAD world there's lots of products tacked onto AutoCAD like Civil 3D and Map and many more. Today we're really talking about plain vanilla AutoCAD templating, though. And
yes.
It's a good foundation for the other products, but when you throw questions at us that are kind of, off in some other product realm, it gets a little hairy.
Yeah, so I know that a lot of you are using plain AutoCAD. I also know that many of you are using tools like Civil 3D. As a matter of fact, I just taught a Civil 3D for Surveyors class yesterday, and we chatted about templates a little bit. And so, whoops, keep the current color scheme. Don't show this message again. And so Civil 3D is going to have additional features to think about. Map 3D, for those of you who are using the GIS tools, that also has additional features to talk about. But and AutoCAD architecture, same rule applies, styles and things like that. But what I'm talking about is just the basic foundations for AutoCAD. And all of those products are based on AutoCAD. So I'm going to talk about the foundational ideas and mentalities for building a template inside of AutoCAD. You're going to be able to take everything I say today and still apply it towards Map, towards Civil 3D, towards AutoCAD architecture, but those products are going to require additional tools, additional massaging, additional work, and Mike, I'm going to smack Mike. And then the OEM versions in AutoCAD LT. Okay, so the OEM versions are going to be kind of the same as what we're talking about here. And that's a good OEM. Not many people know that term anymore, right? But all of these things you'll be able to apply towards any version of AutoCAD or the AutoCAD-based products, but those other products you're going to need to do some additional work. As an example, like with AutoCAD Map, if you've built up object data tables, those need to be defined inside your template. Civil 3D, styles, settings, styles, more styles, and more settings. And you do all of that inside of Civil 3D. Now, all of these things are going to have their foundation rooted in AutoCAD. Now, if you're using Revit, you're in the wrong webinar, and I recommend that you stop right now and maybe join us. Leave now.
But there is templating for Revit.
There is templating for Revit.
Touch this.
But if you ask a question about that, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to answer that whatsoever.
Warren, we had a good call, though, just yesterday with a longtime customer that has kind of a lot of stuff scattered all over creation in their AutoCAD world, and it really came down to templates, and having their templates organized correctly would solve a lot of those problems that they were wondering about. So
that's true.
It's just vitally important to do a good job of this. It will make your life a lot less painful.
So there's going to be a little, quite a bit of PowerPoint presentation and chatting and talking, and I am going to get into the program and show you all a couple of tips and tricks and things that you should know about templates, some things that you probably don't know about templates, and all of that. So the first thing I want to talk about. Let's get started. What are they good for? What are templates? What are they good for? Well, to start with, templates are really, really good for standards management. If you put in all of your styles and all of your settings and all of your layers, everybody who uses the same template to start with, they all have the same standards and settings that are applied. So that means As long as you're using a company or organization standard template, then every drawing that you create using that template should be the exact same. So I ought to be able to go to anybody's company who's using a template, open up any drawing, and all the drawings are going to look exactly the same, right? And every time I say that, I think of these two guys right here and what they're doing. And boy, is that the truth. Yeah, I know. Even with templates, you're still going to run into problems. However, let's try to mitigate some of those problems. Let's try to clean some of this up. Let's try to make life easier on people, okay? Next thing that templates are good for, drawing setup time. If you don't have a template, if you start with a blank template, or what we call the AutoCAD template or the out-of-the-box template, it doesn't have any layers, doesn't have any textiles, doesn't have any settings, any of that kind of stuff, you're going to spend a lot of time every time you want to create a brand new drawing, creating a new layer. Oh, I need to draw some walls, got to create a walls layer. Oh, I need to do this, got to create the layers. Need to draw some text, got to create the styles. So it's going to mitigate all of that drawing setup time. Alternatively, for those of you who are drawing templates or creating or using templates the wrong way, which I'm going to talk about, you could save a lot of time because a lot of people and organizations, and you don't have to raise hands and you don't have to feel embarrassed because a lot of people are doing this, but a lot of people will just open up an old drawing that came from an old project, do a save as, erase everything, and say, hey, cool, I got my template. Well, this will still save time doing that kind of stuff. And that whole method lends a lot of problems and issues inside of it. So we're going to talk about getting rid of that whole method. But as long as you have a template, this is what they're good for. A user starts a brand new project, starts a brand new drawing using a template. What do they have to do? They got to draw. They got to draw. They got to design. They got to draft. They don't have to worry about any of this management nonsense, any of the drawing setup. It's all taken care of for them. It's sort of like what we like doing with programs like Civil 3D and the AutoCAD architectures. Like with Civil 3D, I want to draw an alignment. I just click alignment and start to design. I don't have to worry about layers. I don't have to worry about any of the rest of that. It's all taken care of for me. You can do the same thing with templates. Start with everything you need. What else are templates good for? Okay, not only are your styles taken care of and your layers taken care of, your settings are already set, settings made, setting, set, that kind of stuff. The settings are already taken care of. And there are a lot of settings inside of AutoCAD, a lot of settings. And we got our first question, and I just saw that. Will we have a PDF of the presentation for you to print? Quick answer of this is no. But here's the good news for Lisa. This presentation is being recorded. So within the next few days, if you want to get back to the presentation, you just come up to our website, CAD-1.com, and I'll have a little slide at the very end to talk about this.
Right.
And you come up to our website, you'll see our past webinars, and you'll be able to review this at any time in the future.
And if you frantically want to do snips and screen captures,
well, screen captures, and by all means, you knock yourself out. Go right ahead. So anyway, getting back to the settings. What am I talking about with settings? For those of you who, and Mike's on there, and I recognize a few other names on there, who've been using AutoCAD for 100,000 years, you might remember the term system variables or sysvars, variables, settings. For those of you who don't know what sysvars are, you go into your AutoCAD options dialog box. Those are all your system variables or your settings. Well, not all of them. That's a good chunk of them. There are over, ready for it, 750 settings in system variables inside of AutoCAD.
Holy smokes, Warren.
750. That's close to 1 million. So there are over 750 settings and system variables inside of AutoCAD. Now, not all of them are ones that you can store inside your template, but a good number of them are, and one of the things I'd like to show you here in a minute is how to find out which ones you can store in the template and how to find out which ones you don't store in the template. Okay, so that's what templates are good for. That's the reason that we want templates. And all of these make sense, and all of these are great. I'm talking about time and money, and time is money. So if you could save time creating the drawing, that's saving a lot of money. If you can standardize everything so that I can open up anybody's drawing in my office and it looks the same as the drawing I was just in a minute ago, I'm saving time, I'm saving frustration, I'm saving money. All of these things really help out your workflow. So now let me talk about what templates are, and also more importantly what templates are not. Okay, so templates are just like a drawing. And by that I mean they're same as a regular drawing. The only difference between a template, a DWT, and a drawing, a DWG, is one letter, the T and the G. It literally is a drawing. It's just got a T extension so that AutoCAD can find it easier, and you can use it as a setup. Now, the reason that we want it as a template, a DWT, as you're going to see here, is that if you're doing this properly and if you're using templates and you create a new drawing, the program will copy the template for you automatically to start a new drawing. You don't have to open a drawing, do a save as, erase everything, and that becomes my new drawing. You just hit one button and you've got a blank, brand new drawing with everything already preset for you. Okay? Now, when I talk about opening the template, you can hit the open command and you can open the template. You can modify it and work with it, but I do throw the footnote in there. Hopefully everybody can read the footnote. You can't open a template, but this should only be done by the person who's working on the template, creating the template, preferably a CAD manager or somebody like that. That's the person who needs to open the template and modify the layers, add layers, create text styles, do that kind of stuff. Nobody else should be opening the template. Everybody else should be using the template.
Can you transfer an old drawing to a new template?
Well, what a great question, Mike, and that's a great segue for some of the next things that I'm going to be talking about. Can you transfer an old drawing into a new template? And unfortunately, my answer has to be yes and no. And the yes part of it, I'm going to talk about how you can pull the best parts, the guts, out of old drawings and use them in a new template, how not to do it. So that's a great question. Okay, so what else is a template? It's a starting point for new projects. So basically, all of your layers, all of your styles, and I mean text styles, dimension styles, leader styles, table styles. If you're using Civil 3D, I'm not even going to go through that list because we'll be here for an hour while I'm still talking.
Breathe, Warren. Can I get you a beer?
Yes, please. Not only styles, not only settings and layers and settings, but also layouts. And this is another thing that a lot of people don't know that you can do with templates. You can create all of your layouts, all of your print sheets, all of your company title blocks, and I mean all of them in one layout or one template. So that when I start a blank brand new drawing, I've got my 8.5 by 11 title block with my company logo, my 11 by 17, my 24 by 36. All of those layouts are already preset and ready to go inside of one drawing. And then people say, well, what if I don't use the 8.5 by 11? Delete it. I don't care. But put all of those inside one template. I do know a lot of companies that are using separate templates for different types of layouts. I've got one template that I use for 8.5 by 11 and one template for 11 by 17. That's redundant. You don't need to do that. Combine them all into one template. Put all of your layouts. And yes, I do know some organizations that put all of their templates or all of their layouts into one template. They've got, you open up a brand new drawing, and they've got like 10 layouts. Before you even start drawing, there's already 10 layouts there. Don't panic. Don't panic. AutoCAD can handle a lot of layouts. Do you know how many layouts AutoCAD can handle, Stan?
No.
You don't? Okay. Here's a little history for you all. When AutoCAD 2000 first introduced layouts, back when paper space changed in AutoCAD 2000 and they first introduced layouts, there was an upward limit of how many layouts AutoCAD can handle. You ready for this? It was 1,024 layouts.
Holy cow, Warren!
That was the upward limit. And you want to know what's really funny? Several years ago, AutoCAD removed that limit because somebody asked them to. They said, we need more than 1,024 sheets for my project. And for those of you listening today, if you think your projects get big, just imagine that you needed more than 1,024 sheets for your project. That must have been like the Freedom Towers or something like that.
Send that to the reprographics guy.
No kidding. I'm thinking those big boxes of repro paper, the blue line paper, those were what, 250 sheets?
Yeah.
So 4 boxes. We'd need a forklift for those. So don't worry if you've got 5 or 10 or 20 layouts, people. You've got a practical upward limit of a gazillion layouts that you can put in a drawing. So don't worry about that. Now, inside here, it's a starting point for new projects, as I mentioned, your settings, your styles, your layouts, but look at my footnotes. One of the things that I did not mention is your model space objects, okay? No designs, no plans, no drawing, no objects. Model space should be empty. There shouldn't be anything in model space because when I start with a blank, brand new drawing, I should be in model space and I should just start drawing, should just start drafting right then and there. Okay, let's talk about this real quick, and then I'll jump back and forth into the program, back and forth in here. How do I use a template? Okay, it's real easy for people to use a template. They hit the little white New button not the button next to it, not open. You don't open a template unless you're the CAD manager, unless you're working in the template. You work on that. Now here's the cool thing that a lot of people don't know about is that you can get in your AutoCAD options, and I'll jump in there here in a minute and show you this, and you can automate the process. See, right now, right out of the box, when you hit New inside of AutoCAD, the program's going to bring up a list of all the templates that are inside the program. You can automate that. You can say, no, 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 don't do this. I want you to use my company template. Always use my company template. So when somebody hits this button, bang, they use the company template. They don't get a choice, and it's really pretty awesome because it automates the entire task of starting a new drawing. And like I said there, that it does make it virtually foolproof, but I always like throwing in my little footnotes. You know, as a CAD manager, I know this. It's virtually foolproof, but if somebody wants to break it, oh, trust me, they will. All right, so let's jump into the software here real quick. I'm going to go back and forth in here. Let's talk about using templates, using the drawings, and all of that kind of stuff. So the proper way right here of using templates. As long as my templates are set up, and I'll show you how to do the setup and all of that kind of stuff, and as long as my settings are created and all that good kind of stuff in here, and as long as I've got my John Madden pointer going on here, get my little cool, look, he's over here, look, he's over there. Okay, you're going to be using the new button. Okay, so what about this? Can't I just come over here and click New and click Drawing? Yeah, it's the same thing. But when I click New and I click Drawing, okay, the program's going to start a command called New. When I hit this button, the program's going to start a command called QNew. What's the difference? One letter. But it is a separate kind of command. When I hit that button, it's bringing up my templates folder and it's saying where you want to go, which template do you want to use. Okay, so I get to pick whichever template that I want. What if my templates aren't in this location? What if I want to automate that whole process? Let's start by talking about that. Let's talk about using the template, then get into creating the template. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my AutoCAD options. Not for the faint of heart. Not for the faint of heart. Not for people who want to get in here and goof around. This is not a playground. This is not a practical joke area.
You could put an eye out.
You can put an eye out. You put your eye out when somebody punches you if you goof around through AutoCAD options. You can, if you goof around in here, cause AutoCAD to become unstable and shut down and never start again. So be careful in here. Specifically, be careful in this area right here, your Files tab. Where is AutoCAD looking for everything that it needs in order to run? So don't get too carried away inside here, everybody, because I'm talking about your template settings right in the middle here. I'm going to expand that. What kind of settings do we have for templates? Here's the first one, drawing template file locations. Okay, so one of the questions that people ask all the time. So I've built a template. Now I'm going to copy this over to everybody's computer. And what happens when the next version comes out? I've got to grab those templates and copy them to everybody's computer? And the answer is no. You put your templates up on the server somewhere, nice, safe, and secured. Lock the folder down. Make sure nobody can get in there and edit it. And then you just go over to everybody's computer, and you pick this, and you say, nope, I want you to go over to this location and browse and go find your server and the location that you're going to want to use. And you're double-clicking your life away here. And there you go. I apply that. I can even do that inside of a profile and save it, load it up. So what happens now? Every time somebody hits that little new button, oh, look, I've got my company standard templates. Okay, so I don't have to go picking and clicking and going and searching. It's real easy. But let's make this a little easier. What if I only ever want one company template that we're using? Okay, that's even easier. I can go into template settings, drawing template file location, and then this little option right in here, which I really like, default template file name. When I hit that little Q new button up here, that default file name, what do I want to use? I want to use my architectural template or my civil template or whichever template that I want to use, and that's the one that I'm going to use, so that from now on, whenever I come up here as a user and hit the little Q new button, I don't even get a list. It just jumps me right into a drawing, and I've got my layouts already preset down here. I've got all of my cool architectural layers already preset in here, my styles, everything's taken care of. But wait, you might be asking.
I was.
Just wait. What if I've got a couple of templates, and yeah, I want the user to use this template, but I still want them to have that option of being able to pick a template. Well, that was just for the QNew command. Remember that if I go here and I hit New Drawing, that's the new command as opposed to the QNew command. And who knew? Who knew? QNew. And this will still bring up the list of templates. So they still have this as an option. Or if you want to, you can always put those into a tool palette in there. Now, very quickly, there was a good question that came up in class yesterday, and somebody said, well, would I have one template, always one template, or what if I wanted to use different kinds of drawings, or if my company worked on different kinds of drawings, like architectural and civil and mechanical or something else? Okay, and that's an excellent, excellent question. Yes, you do want separate templates when you are changing industries, or specifically when you are changing either groups of layers, groups of styles, or most importantly, whoops, if I type it correctly, your units.
I was going to say, units is probably one of the biggies.
That's the biggie right there. Let me tell you, I do not want to start with an architectural template and start to draw and then come in here and try to change units to civil. Decimal, meters, feet, whatever you want to use. I always love this one, light years and parsecs. Okay, if you want to work in light years and parsecs, I want you to give me a call and just tell me what your job is. Okay, so if I need to change units, I'm going to have separate templates. Okay, I'm going to have one called architectural and one called civil, or whatever you want to call them. It doesn't really matter. And that's why we still have that option of being able to pick the proper template by using this little system right here. I can do an architectural one, or I can do a civil one, or I can do a mechanical one. It depends on the industry. Do not attempt to put all of that stuff into one template, specifically the units. They don't play well together. You start drawing in inches and then you try to switch to feet, and it's bad. It's just ugly. So do not try to combine multiple industries in one template.
Now, we do have a couple questions here. Mike asked, by and large, will this be the same in 2014?
And that's another good question, Mike. I'm going to tell everybody right now, everything I'm doing I'm doing in 2015. Actually, I should have launched 2016 because I got it on the computer.
Yeah.
And everything that you're doing, everything I'm doing right here is going to be exactly the same in virtually any version of the software. When I say virtually, I mean all of your styles, your settings are going to be everything I'm doing in the options dialog box is going to be same pretty much all the way back to AutoCAD 2000.
Now, what I am going to say, though, is that Autodesk formally only supports 3 versions back. So that would, at this point, be around 2016. So that would be 2015, 14, and 13. So if you start asking questions, even though this should be the same, if you're still hanging out on 2010 or whatever, you probably want to think about
upgrading,
getting current.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have a question, can the template be part of a profile?
Can the template be part of a profile? Sort of. How's that? Sort of. Now, by profiles, what we're talking about here is we're talking about AutoCAD profiles, not Civil 3D profiles and alignments, AutoCAD profiles. And what these profiles are inside of AutoCAD is they are a snapshot of all the settings, or most of, let me start with that, most of the settings that you change inside this entire dialog box, including your files location. So one of the things I will say is that if you do have a large office and you've got 20 people and you put your templates up on the server and you come over to template settings and you do the things that Warren told you and set this, do I need to do this 20 times and go over to everybody's computer? Not really. Not really. What you can do is do it on one computer, go to Profiles, okay, export that profile, put the exported profile up on the server, and then have everybody import that profile. Now, I am going to say that when it comes to profiles, especially with the vertical applications like AutoCAD Architecture and Civil 3D and Map, you want to be really, really careful. How's that? With plain AutoCAD, it could be fine. With vertical applications, it could be horrific. You could run into a train wreck. The main issue here is do not mix and match profiles with verticals and plain AutoCAD. So if I do this profile in Civil 3D, another user using AutoCAD is not going to import that profile, because the profiles are more than just this. the profiles are which menu am I using and what are all my applications. So just be really, really careful with the profiles. But the short answer for plain AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT is yes. If I'm making these, if I put my templates up there and I set this up, I'm going to save that as a profile and have everybody else use it. Okay, now, oops, let me get back in there real quick because here's something else that I was mentioning in some little slideshow. I was talking about, layers and everything else. But before we get into the, moving layers over and layouts and everything else, let's talk about settings. Settings, system variables, over 750 of them, and a good chunk of them have to do with your drawing. Now, settings or system variables, let me show you where to look for those. For all of you who have AutoCAD or any one of the verticals, and unfortunately AutoCAD LT does not have this, but you've got an Express Tools, and inside your Express Tools you've got system variables. And if I turn on the system variable tool set right here, it brings up a little dialog box and it's going to list the system variables or the settings inside my computer. And when I pick any one of these, the program is going to tell me, I'm picking all of these, it's going to tell me what this setting is, what it does, what the different values are and what the different values mean, and most importantly, where is that setting saved? If the setting is saved in the registry, that means it will go out with your profile. If the setting is saved in the drawing, that means that's what you put in your template. So you want to find all the settings that are saved in your drawing, open up your template, and make those setting changes there. This is one place to go for them. Another place is going to be your AutoCAD options. Inside your AutoCAD options, when you go through tab to tab to tab, any one of your options that has this cute little AutoCAD icon means that that setting is being saved in the current drawing only. So you open up your template, you make the setting change there, and you never have to make it again. And here's a big one, arc and circle smoothness. Your view res. And I want to change that arc and circle smoothness. You change it in your template. Or, and we just showed this a few weeks ago, you get 2016, and you never have to worry about arc and circle smoothness ever again as long as you live. Because that goes away for the most part in 2016. It's controlled in your graphics.
That takes the load off.
That takes a huge load off, let me tell you. But there are a lot of settings inside the program, and this is only a small cross-section of your settings. So for those of you who have the Express Tools, you're going to want to go into the System Variable Editor, just scan through them, find the ones that are stored in the drawing, get into your template, make sure that they're set appropriately. Things like mirror text and all those kinds of things, those are stored in the template. For those of you who have AutoCAD LT, I hate to tell you this, you're going to have to do a lot of F1. There is a command called setvar, which you could type in, setvar, which you could type in at the command line. And if you hit question mark, the program will say which ones do you want to list. You hit enter, and it will bring up a scrolling list of all of the system variables inside of AutoCAD. And you hit enter, and it brings up the next list, and enter, and it brings up the next list, and it will tell you what the current settings are, and that's how to find out what they are. But really, those of you with LT are going to have to hit F1, go into the AutoCAD Help, and then use this tool right here, System Variables, and this will give you an A through Z list of all the system variables, what they're set at, and how to work with them.
Warren.
Stan.
And I hope that I'm pronouncing this name correctly. I believe it is ART or RT. Can you customize a template to have the image frame set to 0 at all times? If so, where do I do this?
What another great question. Thank you very much for that one. Because I'm talking about going through all of these system variables and all these settings, and sometimes you find them in the help, and you find them here and find them there. But here's a great answer. If you've got a command or a system variable that you already know and that you use all the time, type it in, image, FR, image frame. I'm going to hit enter, and it says, enter the new value for image frame. And so image frame, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this controls whether or not when you bring in an image, whether or not the frame is visible or non-visible or visible and non-plottable. How do I learn more about this? I love this. Okay, so I'm going to type in image frame. I'm going to get in here, and I'm going to hit F1 on the keyboard. And guess what? Right there is going to tell me what is this system variable, what are the settings, what's going on, and most importantly, where is that saved? If it says saved in drawing, you do that in the template. So to answer this particular question, yes, for image frame, and Mary Beth says she just used image frame. You can change this setting in the template so that your users never have to change it again. And this is what I'm talking about, trying to make life easier on your users. If they're constantly going, what's the name of that system variable again? Mirror text. Oh yeah, mirror text, or image frame, or some of those. You just type it in, you hit F1, and you see if it's stored in the drawing, change it in your template. Try to make life easy on people. Okay?
Now, Warren, we're about halfway through here, and I want to make sure we're getting a few questions in here, and that's great. But I want to make sure that we're on track. So,
I think we are, yeah.
Okay, then we'll take this question from Ivan real quick. If a template is modified, would the users be notified? And if not, is it possible to import the changes painlessly?
No. No to both. That's an easy question. I'm really sorry,
that was
Ivan.
my pain.
Yeah, okay, so if the template's modified, first question, would the users be notified? Here's the problem, is that when you use a template, it makes a static copy of the original template. When I hit new, it made a static copy of my current template, and it created a brand new drawing for me. If somebody gets back in there and makes changes to the template, I won't see those changes. I'll have to do that manually inside my current drawing. Now, that's for the most part. Now, there are some CAD management tools. In the Manage, there are some CAD management tools where I can configure some CAD standards and attach them to my template. But really, all that's good for are layers and text styles and dimension styles. So with the CAD standards tools, I can create a CAD standards file with all my layers, my text styles, dimension styles, attach that to my template. And all that does really is that after I've created the drawing, if somebody goes to try to change one of my existing standards, it'll give them a warning. But you can't do it in reverse, unfortunately. And then the next question is if I make a change in my template, can I get that change imported into my drawings quickly and easily? No, sorry. The current drawing in AutoCAD always rules. So now that I've created this drawing, if somebody were to go into my template and change the color of the dimensions layer, and I wanted to change the color of the dimensions layer in my current drawing, could I just re-import the template somehow? No. Your current drawing is always going to hold its current settings. You have to manually go in and change them. Now, there are a lot of ways that we can automate that process, but unfortunately the short answer is no. Okay, so back into the settings. So we've got all these 750 settings, and I'm not going to say all of them have to do with drawings. You know, a good couple hundred of them have to do with drawings. But the fastest way is that if you wind up typing something in to change it all the time, you know, File, DIA, that's another one, and I want to know what that one is. I hit F1. Oh, it's stored in the registry. I need to make that on a computer-by-computer basis. So just type it in, hit F1. I know those of you with laptops think F1 is a work of Satan, but F1 really is your friend because it's right there next to the escape key, and every time you go to hit escape, you hit F1, and I'm like, I want to do escape, and yeah, I know. But F1 really is a good thing. It's really very, very, wait for it, helpful. That was like a joke, only not funny. Okay.
You know, except for him, we both laughed.
Alrighty, so back into my slideshow. All right, so how do I use a template? I showed you how to use a template. You hit New, you do not hit Open, and you can automate that process for people. All right, so how do I create a template? Well, that's easy, right? For those of you who've done this before, that's easy. You just open an existing drawing that you've been working on for 10 years, and you hit the Save As button, and it becomes a brand new template. No, no. Not only no, but if you check out my little footnote here, no, 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 no. Okay, do not do this. First, why? Okay, I'm trying to be very, very altruistic here.
You're trying to avoid getting calls from people who do it.
There it is. For those of you who don't know what altruistic means, I pulled that up on my thing. I'm trying to be very, very altruistic, and I'm trying to help you out. Okay, here's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the tech support calls down to a dull roar. What Autodesk has found, and we can back this up, we don't have all the statistics, but a good number of tech support calls when AutoCAD is crashing over the last several years, 5, 6, 7 years, haven't been because AutoCAD's crashing. It's been because your drawing is crashing. Your drawings are getting corrupted, and there's a dozen ways for drawings to get corrupted. Trust me, there's, files get corrupted all the time, and people keep working in them, and they have to. It's my project file. I got to get this project out, and then I'm going to use that same project file as a template for the next project. And guess what? You're bringing all those corruptions forward. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to start off with a non-corrupt file. And there are like I said, a lot of types of corruptions that you can import into a new drawing this way. There are audit errors, and that's database errors inside your drawing. There are things called reg apps. We've been finding all kinds of problems with reg apps corrupting drawings. There are drawing entity corruptions where an object inside your drawing gets corrupt. So there's all manner of corruptions that can occur to a drawing. Every time somebody touches a drawing, especially when you're sharing drawings with other consultants, heaven knows what's going on with them. So if you start, if you open up an existing drawing and you want to do a save as and say this becomes my new drawing or a new template that I want to start with, you're going to bring forward all those corruptions. And we do not want you to do that. Really, seriously. Don't just say no. All right, great. So how do I create a template? All right, here's how you create your template. You're going to start with a blank, fresh, clean, error-free, unmangled template. Hey, I got an idea. Okay, whoops. And I changed this, by the way, so I'm going to go back to my options, and I'm going to change that back. Uh-oh. Now I've got to remember where my drawing templates were.
See, that's why you don't get in here.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, I'm not going to waste time for you all real quick. So here's what you do is before you've made all those changes, and one of the things I should have done is copy my files over. But when you hit that new drawing and you come into the AutoCAD list, the list that comes straight out of AutoCAD, pick one of those, acad.dwt. That's a good one to start with.
Now, again, this is the list that comes right out of the box.
Right out of the box.
So
those are fresh. Those are clean. Those are uncorrupted. Those are unbroken, unmangled. acad.dwt. If you're going to be doing 3D work and you want to build a template specifically for 3D work, there's one called AutoCAD 3D. If you are not in the United States and you're watching this webinar right now, or you're watching a recording of this webinar and you're not in the United States, there's the ones for metric. There are the metric templates. So use one of those templates to start with. And what do you get when you use one of those templates? You get a nice clean drawing. If you look up at the top there, no layers, no text styles, no dimension styles, no line types, nothing. Nothing's in this template. And also, what else is not in it? If I type the word audit, you watch my command line down there, and I say fix any errors detected, and I hit F1, guess what? No errors in this template. Okay? So no reg apps, no drawing corruptions, no errors inside the template.
And JP, we do see your question here, and it's kind of about migrating a template, really, and we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Yep. Okay, so now, get back in there. You're going to start with a fresh, clean, unmangled template, one that comes right out of the box with AutoCAD. Footnotes, like I said, AutoCAD or AutoCAD 3D. You're then going to use the AutoCAD Design Center to copy your layers, text and dimension and leader styles, table styles, and even your layouts. This is the AutoCAD Design Center. I'll show it to you real quick. The AutoCAD Design Center. And as you see there, if you look at the AutoCAD Design Center, I can copy block definitions, dimension styles, layers, layouts, line types, multi-leader styles, text styles, all the stuff that you want to plug into a template. Okay, what about my settings, Warren? Aren't those in there? No. You're going to have to manually edit the settings. Oh, darn, some typing. What about my units? No. You're going to have to manually change your units. So there is going to be some manual work. Here's the biggest rule. Okay, I don't like using the Design Center. I'm just going to go into this old drawing, and I'm just going to do a copy-paste. Or I'm just going to use the insert command. No, do not do that. Because if you do a copy-paste from one drawing to another, it will bring over errors and reg apps and problems and things like that. If you insert one drawing into another, it will bring your reg apps and your errors. I have tested this. Trust me. Save yourself the time and effort. I've tested this on my computer. It will do it.
Dave asks, is there a way to print out the settings, layers, etc. in a current template so that a clean one can be set up and still put in the desired stuff?
What a great question. Yes, if you've got the Express tools for your settings, you can go into your system variables and you can save all of your system variables. So once you make the changes here, you can save all of them into an exported file and then read them into a new file. And that will not bring any corruptions, errors, or anything else. Now, as far as layers go, there are tools out there for exporting and importing layers, but you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. Settings would be the only thing that you'd want to export and import. Now, for those of you, unfortunately, who have AutoCAD LT and you don't have those tools, you're going to be doing a lot of typing. I'm sorry, that's the thing about AutoCAD LT, limited technology, no automation. If you want the automation, you're going to have to get one of the updated or upgraded products. So what do I do with the layers and all the rest of that stuff? I'm going to use the AutoCAD Design Center. I just type in DC because I'm lazy. You can find it in the palette somewhere. This is the AutoCAD Design Center. Now, the quickest and easiest way of working with this, by the way, is here's the thing, and just to be safe, what I'm going to recommend that you do is that you're going to start a blank, brand new drawing using the AutoCAD template. And that's what I did. I hit, File New. I use the AutoCAD template. I've got a drawing, a DWG. After I'm going to keep saving it and keep working it as a DWG, as a drawing. And when I'm done working with it, when I'm done cleaning up this template, that's when I hit Save As. That's when I choose a template. And that's when I give it my company name and all of that, and I put it up on the server. It's not a good idea to just hit Open and open the template and just start working in there. Now, for those of you who are going to be managing the template, yeah, go ahead. After you've created the template and I've got just that template file up on my server, I need to tweak a layer, hit Open, pick your template, and work it. But don't let everybody try to open up the template. It's just bad news. It's a standards file. You want to keep it. You want to keep it safe and secure. But to get things like layers, okay, so I've got my blank drawing open. I'm going to open up one of my old project drawings that have all the layers and have all the textiles and have all of that. Here's this edition A. And then I'm going to go to each one of these, like my dimension styles. I'm going to grab all of the dimension styles that I want. Ooh, I don't want that one, so I can remove that one. Just grab all the rest of them and literally drag them and drop them into my drawing. That was my dimension styles. And as soon as I do that, those dimension styles get embedded into my drawing. Okay? And it did not bring any kind of corruptions or errors or anything else. And you can do that with your layers. Oh, I want all these layers. Grab them, drag them, drop them into your drawing. I've now defined them in the layers, line types, layouts. Okay? I've got layout 1, layout 2, but these layouts in the other drawing, they've already been set for my printer, and they've got my company title block and my logo, and you can bring the layouts in here. Now, the only tricky thing about the layouts is that, in that project, it's a good idea to do this and make sure that if you've got a company title block and a logo, just make sure that stuff is clean. Okay, clean up the blocks. Make sure that it's got using all the proper text styles and attribute definitions. Just make sure it's really, really clean before you try to bring it in. Because if you bring in a layout and it's got a title block and the title block's got some problems, you're liable to bring in the problems as well. Table styles, text styles. Seriously, this is the way that you're going to want to create your template. From there, like I said, I'm going to go into my units command, set the appropriate units that I'm going to want to work with. I'm going to change my system variables manually. Don't worry if you forget something. If I'm not using these layouts down at the bottom of the screen, that's easy. I'm just going to right-click and delete those layouts. Yeah, get rid of them. Get rid of the ones that I'm not using. Name things. And here's a couple other tips and tricks for you all. When somebody starts a blank brand new drawing using my template, it's going to start exactly as I leave the template, which means model space. You want to leave your template model space so that they can start drawing. Also, it means what layer do you have preset? Okay, maybe I'm the electrical person and I'm always starting with the electrical layer. I save that in my template. Any one of your styles that you're going to want to use. So let's say I've got my annotated style and all of those. So you set all of this up in your template, as the current styles, the current layers, the current settings, and you save your template. When somebody starts, all of this is already ready to go. All they got to do is start drawing on that appropriate layer. And that's how you build your template. Now remember, this is still a DWG. So I'm going to keep going back and forth, and I'm going to keep using it as a DWG because it's easy to work with. I'm going to clean it up. And before I'm done, I'm going to type audit, make sure that I fix any errors detected. Because look, I went from a blank drawing, and what happened? I've already got an error in there. Well, that's because one of those viewports or something else in one of the layouts that I brought in had some problems. So you got to fix that. This is why you want to make sure that before you bring the layouts in, the content on the layouts is nice and clean. Okay, what else am I going to do? Well, I'm going to run a command line version of the purge command. Now you might be thinking, no, I just brought in all the layers and text styles. Don't purge them. Well, this is what I'm aiming at right here, is I'm aiming at my reg apps. Okay, I want to get rid of the reg apps. That's the only thing I want to purge. It says enter names to purge. I want to hit enter for star. Verify each name to be purged. No, just get rid of all of them. And make sure that you clean up the reg apps. Reg apps can potentially come in from just plain AutoCAD working or one of those. It could be a reg app that you click for your system variables and things. So you want to purge those and make sure that those are clean. Those are the two most important things, audit and purge the reg apps. And now I can hit the save as. I can change this to a drawing template, and then I can use this.
Now again, we've changed the G to a T.
A T. That's right.
There you go.
All right, what were some of the questions that we had here?
All right, JP asks, is it okay to save a previous template as a new version template, i.e., if you're taking something from 2015 or a 2015 template saved as a 2016 template? Basically, how do you migrate?
How do you migrate? That's a good question. Now that I've got my template saved, I've got it set up, and I've been doing this in 2015, how do I use it in 2016? Relatively easy. All you got to do is just get 2016 to point to the same template. You know, templates are just like AutoCAD drawings. They're always upward compatible. Here's the only trick with migrating templates and using templates and going forward with them. It's a nice clean template. You can use it from here on out. Amen. However, if AutoCAD invents or Autodesk invents something new that wasn't in your old template, you're going to have to open up that template in a new version and make the setting change there. You know, a classic example, multi-leaders. Those are only a few years old. So if somebody had an old template that they created in, say, 2007, before multi-leaders were out, then they won't have any multi-leader styles pre-built. So you'll want to open up the file in a new version and make any setting changes or make any style changes that are specific to that version.
Yep, and we did a 2016 What's New in AutoCAD 2016 a couple weeks ago. It's probably on our website.
Probably on our
archives
website.
By now on our YouTube page, so if you want to see what's new there, go look at it.
Definitely go look at it.
Let's see, Jeff, I see your question there. We'll get to it here in just a minute. I'm gonna get a couple others that are a little bit ahead here. Scott asks, should reg apps be purged throughout the design process?
Yeah, let's talk about, thank you, Scott. Okay, so yes, I purge the reg apps inside my template, so that means that every drawing that I create should not have any reg apps. I created that drawing, it should not have any reg apps. The second I touch the drawing, there are going to be reg apps.
Oh,
if I copy and paste something from another drawing, there's going to be reg apps. So yes, purging reg apps, I've actually built it as a button in a tool palette somewhere, and I just have the users go in every so often and click that button to automate the task and purge the reg apps. There's no reason to keep reg apps. Purge them, keep your drawings clean. If your drawings get too many reg apps, it could cause the drawings to become unstable, or at the very least cause AutoCAD to slow down your performance. So yes, you should.
It can be a big bugaboo. I mean, it's one of those mysterious things. Why is this doing this?
Yeah.
Reg apps is probably one of the first place to look if things start slowing down.
Yeah, and like I was telling my class yesterday, a quick tech support tip for me to you is that there's a couple reasons that AutoCAD will slow down, and reg apps is one of them. And a quick key indicator is if you just draw a circle somewhere in a blank area of your drawing and you start the hatch command, if your hatch doesn't respond for about 20 to 30 seconds, reg apps could be the problem. So you want to purge your reg apps. That could be the problem. There might be other problems like temp folders and things like that, but that's a quick key indicator that something's going wrong in the drawing.
Ivan asks, once done creating the template, is there any built-in reporting tool that would help with documenting the settings used, i.e. for inclusion on a CAD standard document, etc.?
Yes and no. Yes and no for Ivan. For that, like I was mentioning, we've got our CAD standards tool set, and you can export a drawing as a CAD standards. You can do their Autodesk CAD standards or AutoCAD CAD standards tools that are inside of your where your program's loaded. I'm going to go to Autodesk in my Start menu. I'm going to go to AutoCAD 2015, and you will see standards checker right in here. So that's a tool set that will report certain standards. Now the standards that will report on are these plugins: dimension styles, layers, line types, and text styles. Unfortunately, there's no tool that will easily report all the rest of it, at least not inside the program. Now, if you go up to the Autodesk App Store, go up to Autodesk Exchange, go up to the App Store, you're liable to find something in there because people are writing all kinds of apps for AutoCAD anymore. There are hundreds of apps up to the App Store, and you're liable to find something there.
Yep. So that's a good way to spend a rainy afternoon.
Yeah. Some money.
James asks, we currently use a template with no layers and then use palettes to insert a drawing with our layers per discipline. Also, we insert a file with all our styles. Is it still better to use Design Center?
Yes. Yes. When you're talking about inserting a drawing, I don't care if you're inserting it off of a tool palette, I don't care if you're using the insert command, you can bring corruptions and reg apps and things like that. It's best to have the template set up the way that I'm showing now and use Design Center to create those templates. If there is something that you just specifically want to bring in that's in this list for Design Center, like blocks and dimension styles, it's still best to use this. Now, why couldn't I just copy paste the block out of one drawing into another? If I use the Design Center, what the program does is it will literally recreate that object inside my drawing. So it will not insert it, thus bringing in all the reg apps and the errors. Best to use Design Center.
So James, hopes that helps you. Will ask, will there be a recording of this? Yes, we're recording it right now. I missed the first half. Yep, we'll have it recorded. You know, it kind of depends on what Denny's workload is. Denny does the posting of these, so usually she gets them done in about a week's time, but it will be up on our YouTube page, and you can find it in our archives. We have a couple kind of Civil 3D related questions. They aren't too deep into it, but they are good questions, and I wanted to kind of hold them till what appears to be kind of the end here. So Jeff asks, now I know this is more AutoCAD specific, thank you Jeff, but if you could quickly explain the best way of migrating Civil 3D styles from drawing into a new template file, manage tab, style pane, importing, purge.
Yes, you already answered the question. You already answered your own question. Yeah, the best way of getting a style or Civil 3D styles from one drawing into another is by using the Manage ribbon inside of Civil 3D and using the Styles panel to import and purge styles from one drawing into another. That's the best way of doing it, because not only does that import the styles, when you use that tool to import styles, it'll import layers, block definitions, everything that goes along with the styles, and inside that tool, you have an option to import settings. It won't import all the settings, unfortunately, but it's a good start. That's a tool for Civil 3D you want to use.
All right, and Bob asks, do you want to purge reg apps in a Civil 3D file?
You want to purge reg apps in every AutoCAD file. I don't care what program you're using, yep. AutoCAD Architecture, Civil 3D, AutoCAD LT. You want to purge reg apps. Let me tell you very, very quickly, basically what a reg app is just a little piece of text added into the drawing that lets you know that you touch the drawing with this version of AutoCAD, or this flavor of AutoCAD, or this Lisp routine, or this Object ARX routine, or this VBA macro. Every time you use anything inside the program, it's going to put a little pointer to what you did, and realistically, I call it programmer's graffiti. It's just a way for me to spray paint my name inside your drawing and let you know that, you know, Kilroy was here. And the problem is that if you don't purge them, and these things will keep collecting and adding up over time. And even if you copy and paste something from one drawing into another, you're going to bring all the red japs from the drawing. And if you get too many, and by too many I mean anything over a few hundred is too many, but if you get too many in a drawing, your drawing will become unstable, up to the point of becoming wildly unstable.
You know, I used to do a lot of support and training, and that was a long time ago now, and I'm on a different side of the company, but I will say that what I hear at the water cooler, if you will, so often is that red japs really are at the heart of a lot of problems in all of the programs. So it's always good to kind of have a plan to control those. Lise, I will get to your question in just a minute. We got one from
Mike. Mike asks, what's the most red japs you have ever seen in a drawing? And that number, I'm not going to mention the company or organization that had it. I was talking about this in my class yesterday. There was a company who had a template, and they had brought pieces and parts of this template. Everything that I said not to do, this organization did, and their template was 10 megabytes in size. Their template had a couple of layouts, had some layers, 10 megabytes in size. Every time they started a new project using the template, within a day or two, that project became wildly unstable. And they were saying, AutoCAD sucks and it's awful. Well, we tracked it down to the template, 10 megabytes in size. We purged the red japs. It went from 10 megabytes in size to about 400K, less than 10% of the size. And there were over 500,000 red japs. When I told the folks at Autodesk this, they thought I was lying to them until I sent them that. So there are lots of things that can cause red japs to add up in a drawing, and it was insane. So even purging the red japs, at that point their CAD management staff got online and said, we're dumping this template. I don't care that we purged it. We're dumping it. We're going to recreate it from scratch using everything that I just showed you in this webinar.
And that's pretty much one red jap for every person in Wyoming. You want to put it that way.
You want to put it that way.
Okay, if one knows, I've been asked, if one knows ahead of time that every drawing is going to have to XREF specific drawings, is it possible, slash a good idea to attach XREF?
Oh yeah, definitely, Ivan. As a matter of fact, title blocks, that's a common one. I've got a company standard title block. We use that in all of our projects. And we like to have it, built up specifically for our company with a logo, and they want to XREF that in. Oh, yeah, definitely. However, having said that, you want to make sure that the drawing that you're XREFing in is nice and clean. Purge red japs, audit, etc., because even XREFs can bring those problems in. But that's definitely a good idea. Use XREFs in your template.
Now, Lise has a question that's a little bit of off topic. Do we have any other questions here? We're almost at the top of the hour. Lise, hang on. I'm going to stop the recording so we're not recording this on the webinar.
Okay, now before you stop the recording and definitely answer any more questions, please remember that CAD-1 is on Facebook and Twitter, and if you want to follow us, definitely like us and follow us and all that kind of stuff for those of you on social media. Also, don't forget that we do have online training, we have on-site training, we have implementation, we have hourly rates for online training to help you out, to help you build your template. We've helped build organizational and company templates for people, even using Civil 3D and Map and AutoCAD. So definitely contact us. We can offer that as a service.
You want us to do it instead of you having to do it because you're really busy otherwise?
Especially the Civil 3D templates. We get that question a lot. We've helped out a lot of people because that is definitely the most boring thing in the world, is getting all the layers and code libraries and all of that in there. And if you want more information, please contact us, for those of you watching the video. So go ahead.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Warren and all of our instructors here at CAD-1. For the second year running, CAD-1 was named the top Autodesk training center in North America based on independent customer surveys.
Yes, and independent customer surveys. So you people coming in and taking our classes were the ones who did that. We didn't pay anybody to do that. Well, we paid our students with beer. No.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Lise, hang on, and if any of the rest of you want to hear just a little bit about BIM 360, I'll tell you.